Hello and welcome to this video talking about my first experience reading the Bleach manga. And yes, that's how I consumed it. I read the first 25 chapters of the manga and without knowing basically anything about Bleach, I wanted to share my first impression of the story. If you liked the video, be sure to comment that you liked it and like, so I see that people like it and make a part 2, since I will most definitely read further in the manga, even if I won't make a video about it. Also, before we start, here are 4 characters and you have to guess which one is my favorite character so far in Bleach. If you guess right, you are a genius and I will congratulate you in the comments if you commented down. If you guess wrong, you have to subscribe. Do we have a deal? And yes, this is totally ripped off of Grand Line Review, whatever. Now choose. And the correct answer is Rukia, since she is awesome. If you got it right, comment it down. If not, you know what to do. Enough talk though, let's start talking about Bleach. The first few pages of Bleach were actually really good and got me hooked. And I wanted to read more. Even though I was just thrown into the action and it was a bit confusing at first, it was still a good way to handle the introduction. We were thrown right into Ichigo's family getting attacked by Hollow and saw how he got his powers. By the way, if I butcher some pronunciations, as I said, I only read the manga, so sorry. Funny side note, I recognized the start of Bleach was really similar to the start of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I do realize Jujutsu Kaisen came out way after Bleach and the mangaka already mentioned he was getting inspired a lot by Bleach, but since I first consumed Jujutsu Kaisen and then Bleach, it was kinda funny seeing how similar the starts of these mangas really are. The introduction arc was simple but good. We got introduced to Rukia and the Shinigami job and the Shinigami concept as a whole. Ichigo became a Shinigami and overall it was a solid introduction arc. There wasn't anything spectacular, but it was solid, as I said. A 6 out of 10, I would say. Next, we got introduced to Orihime and I thought she was kinda a bit boring. Like the typical female character who will eventually fall in love or already has fallen in love with the main character. Anyway, one thing I also really liked this far is the art of Kubo, the mangaka of Bleach. His paneling and art style looks really cool, especially for cool moments that makes them look even more cool in my opinion. Also, that fake death of Orihime, he really had me there for a second, not gonna lie. I don't know why, because usually I don't fall for these fake deaths and so on. So he really had me, and good on him, I'd say. So his storytelling also is really good and exciting. That's the impression I got. The villain, being the brother, was a solid villain, but the arc more focused on showing us what kind of a character Ichigo and also a little bit Orihime was. Ichigo is a protective older brother who acts cool but is a soft person inside. That's what I'm getting so far. A really solid arc as well and really enjoyable as well, which is something I wanted to talk about as well. And I've said it as well a lot now, so next sentence. The first arcs may not be the most original ones, but they are really enjoyable to read and you want to continue reading. Like, for example, Diamond No Ace. It's also a basic anime which doesn't do anything incredible or to the point where I currently am, like episode 20 or so in the anime, but the mangakas make you want to continue the story, which is really a great skill to have. They give you the urge to continue watching it, and honestly, that's the most important thing a mangaka can do, isn't it? Because people want you to read their stories. I'd give this arc an 8 out of 10. I had a good time reading it, to be honest. It wasn't mind-blowing, but I really enjoyed reading it for some reason. Before we talk about the arc where Chet gets introduced, can we talk about 2 things? 1. Bleach is actually fucking hilarious. Seriously, there were so many times I laughed. And I'm not the type of guy who laughs at every shit that gets thrown at you as a joke. But Bleach actually is funny, man. Look at these panels. They are actually funny. 2. I am convinced that the term Chet came along because of this character. Seriously, you can't tell me he isn't the reason the name Chet is being used for these kind of characters because of him. He is legit a Chet. The name suits him. Now, the actual arc also was really wholesome and good. I remember really liking it because I just liked Chet as a character, the dynamic he had with Ichigo. I know that was kinda a bit of a short review for this arc, but the next 2 arcs I will talk about more in depth. So, also I don't really remember that much. I just remember that I really liked it. I enjoyed reading it again. 7 out of 10. Okay, let's continue with the body switch arc now. And that was probably my favorite arc yet. I really liked every character that got shown to us. The arc is about Rukia and Ichigo going to this shop where they sell items for Shinigamis, and they buy a soul to fill in Ichigo's body while he is gone, but through a mistake they get one that is actually a soul and shouldn't be there. And here we get some layers to the story showing us that the Shinigamis and the Soul Society, which is only shown as a great place, and the Shinigamis being always in the right, not actually being that great as thought, since they just created these souls, and when seeing it was a bad idea, they killed them. The villain of the arc, who I thought was just a simple bad guy who wanted Ichigo's body and do evil stuff, so basically your typical villain, just wanted to live, which was actually pretty darker than I thought Bleach would be, to be honest. The reason for him to get killed being that he existed. Like, that's pretty dark. It shows that the Shinigamis, which Rukia as well, always pictured as this organization which always is in the right and always acts just, isn't all good as we thought. And of course Ichigo realizes that, and it shows his character, but I also loved that Rukia went through a little bit of character development herself, not following every order she gets and questioning those orders and deciding for herself basically. This early in the story, I really liked the character development of Rukia. I also liked that we kept Kon around, kinda reminded me of Dimple from Mob Psycho, and again I realized Mob was published after Bleach. I'm not saying it copied anything. A really good arc overall. So an 8 out of 10 I would say. I really enjoyed it though, so probably 8 to 9 out of 10. Now, I said that the last arc was my favorite one, but this one might actually rival it. And I feel like now I arrived at what Bleach really is after all the introductionary stuff. This arc, we dive deeper into Ichigo's past and learn about the passing of his mother, and that a hollow was responsible for it, which is the first really strong enemy as well. Ichigo's mom died because of a hollow that attracts people who see ghosts, like Ichigo attacked him, and his mother died protecting him, and Ichigo blamed himself for it. Now, the background story wasn't specifically original or something, but it works well for the character, so I'm not criticizing it. While Ichigo fights the hollow in the present, we see him being really prideful and specifically asking Rukia to not join this fight, and for the first time he nearly dies, but still manages to injure the enemy enough to flee, because he is the main character. So we saw a lot about Ichigo and who he is and how he handles things and stuff. Now, don't misunderstand me, I like Ichigo, but this far I didn't see anything that makes him particularly stand out from the basic shonen main characters. But since Bleach is older and I consumed a lot of new gen stuff as well beforehand and saw this type of character, for example Itadori or Asta and many more who are really similar to Ichigo, it kinda doesn't interest me as much anymore. Still, I realize he came before all the characters I'm talking about. So, Ichigo is a solid character. Again, don't misunderstand me, but he's nothing special this far into the story. The two actually most interesting moments in this arc came from his sister and Rukia. We saw how his sister saw a hollow, so I'm looking forward to see how this will play out and if she will join the main cast. The thing with Rukia was that we saw a glimpse of her past where she was told to rather let someone die than taking his pride by helping if it's a personal matter, which was the case here again and the reason why she didn't help Ichigo, and it really made me interested in Rukia's past. The villain himself was also solid. Like, he's someone who is one of the stronger villains and he will return. I don't know how huge of a role he will play because he basically killed Ichigo's mother, so I would guess a huger role and he's stronger. Like, he isn't that deep or anything yet, so yeah, solid villain. Another 8 out of 10 arcs, but also like I wouldn't argue against anyone who would rank it as a 9 out of 10 arc. As you can see, the average rating for Bleach this far is 7.5 out of 10. I couldn't really decide between 7 or 8 out of 10, so it's 7.5. Which is really good, and I really enjoyed Bleach this far. I heard that the Soul Society arc is really good. That's all I knew from Bleach anyways, that the Soul Society arc is really good. And honestly, an arc taking place in the afterlife with dead people sounds really interesting, so I'm looking forward to that. But even after 25 chapters, Bleach had a nice story, a likable cast, some interesting characters, awesome panels, like really the paneling and the art as well are really great, and really good humor. So I enjoyed it and would recommend to everyone reading it. Now again, I will 100% read further, so if you want to know about how I think about like the rest of Bleach, like the upcoming arcs, show it by liking, leaving a comment and subscribe. Thank you for your attention and bye!